Madam Speaker, the meth crisis is extremely serious. One of the essential steps that should already have been taken is to ensure the K-12 curriculum has material which deals with what meth is, why it's so dangerous, why it should be avoided and never used, what are the specific steps that a student should take if they have started taking meth and need help, who they can go to for help and where, and how they can help a friend who started taking meth. At this critical time in our history, with this epidemic and crisis raging, can the Minister of Education tell us whether knowledge of the meth crisis is in the K-12 curriculum, and if not, when it will be?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, the member will know that there is significant education that happens within the K-12 system on drugs generally. Generally at grade 4 it begins. That's often augmented by other groups that come in. We've, of course, seen Rob Nash do presentations at schools. We've had the DARE program at schools, which is operated by the RCMP, who come into schools. So there's a number of different sources of information in terms of drugs. I was pleased to be with the then Attorney General, the member for Tuxedo, to attend a school several months ago in our previous roles to talk about awareness on things like opiates and meth and other drugs that are happening at that time and continue to happen, and we'll continue to provide that information, Madam Speaker.
Sure.
The Honourable Member for River Heights on a supplementary question.
But is there really enough about meth? The legalization of cannabis in Canada has occurred. Educating students in the K-12 education system about cannabis in the run-up to legalization should have been a top priority for this government. So students would be well aware of the medical evidence of the negative impact of cannabis on adolescent brains, the dangers of driving after taking cannabis, the potential inability of cannabis users to visit the United States for the rest of their lives, and the rules as they relate to the use of cannabis, so that students understand these matters. Why was this knowledge of cannabis not fully integrated into the curriculum before legalization? Why the delay?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Education and Training.
Madam Speaker, this member, and I've heard other members of the Liberals acknowledge that one of the reasons that meth has become cheaper on the streets, this scourge, this terrible drug, is because potentially of the legalization of marijuana. As those who are selling illegally marijuana look to change their market and are providing cheaper methamphetamine. Madam Speaker, that is a result of the Liberal government policy, Madam Speaker, to legalize marijuana. Now, it may have been an unintended consequence, but it could nonetheless have been a consequence. This is a government that has looked at safety in every aspect when it comes to the legalization of marijuana because of the federal Liberal government, whether that's the age, whether that's where the drug can be consumed, whether that's education. I'm glad this member all of a sudden suddenly cares. He should have said something many, many months ago when his friends in Ottawa were putting in this policy and not providing the support to Manitoba and other provinces, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for River Heights on a final supplementary.
Madam Speaker, the government needs to be proactive, not just reactive. Individuals with learning disabilities often experience frustration with the K-12 education system because detailed assessment of their learning disability is often slow, and the help and support available in Manitoba is not as advanced as it needs to be, particularly for those with complex learning disabilities, including processing difficulties. Students with learning disabilities are among the most vulnerable, and when not adequately helped, are more likely to be involved with substance abuse and to have mental health issues, as we learned at a recent forum I held in River Heights. Action is urgent. What is the Minister of Education doing to ensure all children with learning disabilities get the full support?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Education and Training.
Well, Madam Speaker, this government, our government, has been more proactive on this file than I would say any other government in Canada, Madam Speaker. Whether that is setting, Madam Speaker, whether that is setting a differential age from alcohol when it comes to the consumption of marijuana, or whether that is restricting significantly where the drug can be consumed so it doesn't become normalized, Madam Speaker, among groups that we don't want it to become normalized, and whether it's ensuring that there is good control on the distribution of the product, though we need more help from the federal government on a seed-to-sale tracking system, Madam Speaker. This government has been proactive every step of the way. What we haven't had is a federal government who's been a real partner to ensure that we have equipment when it comes to impaired driving, have it on time, Madam Speaker. That hasn't been there, and I've never heard that member say one word to his federal colleagues in Ottawa about this. He can sit here and he can make political points, but he was absent when we needed it.
Time.